Sad news about the passing of Pope Francis, but it kind of made me wonder, do we have any stuff from the Vatican here at the House of the Temple? We do, behind this glass case. Welcome to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry channel. I'm Maynard Edwards, 33rd degree, along with the illustrious Arturo de Hoyos. It's been a while since you've been on. He's our Grand Archivist, our Grand Historian, 33rd degree Grand Cross. And you're looking rather good. It's been a minute since we've had a chance to chat. But we are together for a little bit of sad news this morning.
That's right.
Pope Francis passed away at the age of 88. And I kind of got to wondering, obviously there's some, let's say, tension between the Catholic Church and Freemasonry over the years. Not Freemasons welcome Catholics to our doors. The Catholics have more of a complicated relationship with Freemasonry, let's say. But you have had interactions with the Vatican, and you've actually been to the Vatican, and we have something from the Vatican here at the House of the Temple Library where we are now. So tell us about your trip to Rome, if you would.
Back in the year 2000, Grand Commander Kleinknecht, John Betcher was the managing editor of the Scottish Rite Journal, and myself were invited to the Vatican to speak with high-level officials of the Roman Catholic Church regarding Freemasonry. And it was actually a very nice trip. The officials with whom we spoke wanted to know a little bit about what our origins were, what our purposes were, and we were able to dispel a lot of myths about the fraternity. They were under the misimpression that a lot of things that had been published in the 1800s really represented a type of Masonic doctrine, which they did not. They had the history a bit messed up, didn't understand really what our purposes were. They actually thought that we were a type of religion, an anti-Catholic religion, which of course we are not. And we were able to clear up a lot of that misunderstanding and left with some really, I'd say, an improved impression of both organizations there. They were very, very friendly, and one of the things that they misunderstood, for example, is that they thought that the Supreme Council Southern Jurisdiction was the leading Masonic organization in the world, and that we directed the lodges throughout the world in politics and matters of religion, things like this. That they believed, mistakenly believed, that we were behind some of the problems that they've had with unrecognized Masonic groups in France, for example. And when we explained that we didn't have fraternal relations with these groups since the 1800s, it changed their mindset.
Is there still, or was there still at that time when you had that meeting, the Taxil Hoax issues? You know, there's so much confusion that comes, and we hear it. I know you hear it every day. I hear it literally every day. That there is, people will spit things at us that we know come word for word from the Taxil Hoax. Did you run into that while you were speaking with them?
They had the misunderstanding that, for those who don't know what the Taxil Hoax is, there was a famous French hoaxer who went under the pen name of Leo Taxil, who published books on pornography and also anti-Masonic and anti-clerical material. And he started this story that the Supreme Council Southern Jurisdiction, which at the time was under Grand Commander Albert Pike, was a Luciferian organization, and that Masons at the highest levels, he said specifically the 30th, 31st, 32nd, 33rd degrees, that the secret doctrine of Freemasonry was that we were devil worshippers, which, is, it's patently silly if you're a Mason. I did explain to them that this person was exposed as a fraud. He admitted it publicly, and that he did it at the expense of the Roman Catholic Church.
So you would say your experience at the Vatican was very positive?
Very positive.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Now, we do have at least one artifact here from the Vatican archives, and it has to do with something else that there's a little controversy in Freemasonry about, is the alleged connection between the Masonic fraternity and the historic Knights Templar. Now, we're not talking about the Masonic Knights Templar. That is a chivalric, philosophical body of Freemasonry on the York Rite side of things. That absolutely is connected to Freemasonry, but the crusading knights of the Crusades, the Middle Ages, no direct historic connection that we know of.
Yeah, there's no evidence, there's no historical connection that we know of. No historian actually makes any connection between Freemasonry and the Knights Templar. Now, We understand the reasons for this is that there's an early Masonic degree called the Scots Master degree. It's the earliest degree that we know of that has a connection to the Scottish Rite traditions. It's our ancestor, goes back to the 1730s. Had a story about knights from Scotland that went to the Holy Land, and they investigated the ruins of the temple, and they made certain discoveries. Well, these connections, you know, seem like a great story, that they became part of Freemasonry. But in fact, we have no evidence of this. You know, the Knights Templar were started in the year 1118 under the authority of King Baldwin of Jerusalem. And they were the people who made safe pilgrimage for, you know, Christians to come visit the Holy Land. They fell out of favor with King Philip the Fair of France, who was bankrupt. The story that all Masons know is that Philip the Fair and Pope Clement V got together and they disbanded the Templars in the year 1312. And that they found them to be guilty of heresy, and 2 years later, of course, Jacques de Molay, the last of the Knights Templar, burnt to death at the stake. And so the story is that surviving Templars fled to the islands of Scotland and then became allied with Robert the Bruce and then came into Freemasonry. But there's no evidence of this. A few years ago, I believe it was 2007, they discovered a lost manuscript in Vatican archives, the secret archives. And it was actually the records of the trials of the Templars. And that's what we have here. We have a beautiful reproduction. I believe there were 799 copies of it that were made. And it's a facsimile, page for page, on vellum, looks exactly like the real thing. And it shows that they were in fact exonerated, not found guilty of heresy. If I remember correctly, the church says that although they were guilty of crimes, they were not guilty of heresy. Let's
take a look at this book, because it's not even just a book.
It's pretty neat.
It is a package.
It is. It's a facsimile edition.
Yeah, let's get over here and get the camera on this. So this is the actual, I guess, and it's bound in leather. Wow! Oh wow!
So
those pages are cloth.
Yeah. So we have this great transcription with illustrations, and then we have the actual facsimile here on vellum. This was a donation made to the House of the Temple. That it cost around $8,000 at the time.
Wow. This is the sort of the more fun package of it, because in here we've got, these are wax seals that they would, you know, melt in place to hold it, to hold the original documents.
That's right, to attest to its papal authority.
Right, and then here's some
reproduction
of the handwriting, and our museum curator Olivia Curcio, she showed me this a minute ago. This is the entire transcript written longhand. This is vellum, and it was tied up in the package there. So this is, and it's all in Latin, obviously, with the seals at the bottom. But this is what they would have found in the library when they were
full-size reproduction. As you can see, this comes in several pieces, like the originals.
Oh, I see. Yeah, if you look here, it's sort of sewn together. In the middle, there's actual stitches back there.
Because these are animal skins, of course.
Right. Wow. And as you said, the reproduction is right down to the stains on the vellum. Here's a cool little sort of, I guess, security feature. If you look at the seal right here, the seal extends between these two. So when you line that up, you know that you've got them in the correct order and that these are both official documents.
That's correct. You have to imagine the secret archives are enormous, and the document was miscatalogued. It had been looked for by historians for many years. It was found by accident, and of course it was a major discovery, which is why upon looking at it and it revealing the truth, it had to be reproduced.
Now, the one question I have is that, and you say it was misfiled, that's not an uncommon thing for historians. There are lots of documents.
Yes.
This is not some conspiratorial thing. That happens a lot.
Happens here. You know, it's not uncommon for somebody to have a couple of boxes open.
Right. And
when you put something away, to put it in the wrong envelope even. This is why we like to keep things separated so that this stuff doesn't happen. But, you know, humans being humans,
it happens.
We occasionally do this.
Even though it's sad news that brings us to the discussion, it's still cool to be able to see this. I love this. This is the logo of the secret Vatican archive. And it is on display here at the House of the Temple Library. This isn't something that you can take out and read, because I would imagine you can find transcripts of this online.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find everything that you want about it, but I mean, it is something that's displayed behind one of our cases just to let people know that we have it.
And if you are interested in coming here to study, the House of the Temple Library is open to the public, whether or not you're a Mason. If there's something in particular you're looking for, we do ask you get in touch with us a little bit ahead of time so that our team here has a chance to help you out with that. But if you want to come here and study or read,
absolutely,
it has always been open to the public.
Well, as we like to remind people, that the House of the Temple's library was the first library that was free and open to the general public. In Washington, D.C.
If you have any questions, comments, please do drop them in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And if you're interested in supporting some of the stuff that goes on here at the House of the Temple, not only preserving things like books and documents, but preserving some of the lost media from the 20th century. We're talking about records, reel-to-reel tapes, VHS, all kinds of things. For $2 a month, you can help us out with that. Just click the link above, and that gets you signed up to do that. So Arturo de Hoyos, our Grand Archivist, Grand Historian, 33rd degree Grand Cross, and KYCH. I'm Maynard Edwards. Thanks for watching.